Hi, I'm Blair Gilbert for MrHardware.com and Gilbert's Pro Hardware in St. Clair Shores, here to do a quick dissertation on it's not about the jigsaw, it's about the blades whenever you're doing a project. The finer teeth go slower and are more for cutting through metal. See, we have three basic blades to talk about. 24 teeth per inch, 10 teeth per inch, 6 teeth per inch. The finer teeth go slower and are more for cutting through metal. The medium tooth is for making fine cuts in wood and or cutting through thick metal. And the coarse blade is for getting some work done going through wood in a hurry. Too fine a blade goes too slow when you need to get a job done, so you need to choose the blade that will go the fastest and do your job properly. Two basic types of shanks. They call this a U-shape or a straight blade shank, and then there's a T-shape. The newer jigsaws take the T-shape. The older ones, our grandpa ones, are a U-shank or a straight shank. So here I have a newer saw. That's a quick release. It takes either. You pull back on this collar and you can put in either blade. So this is kind of the newer style of equipment. Here's my grandpa one. It's got a little set screw, and that's how you change the blade, is tightening it in with the set screw. You have a newer saw, you can use either one, which sometimes you can't find the blade of your job in the shank that you're looking for. Not everybody carries a full line of these blades. So I've got four basic materials I'm going to show you how to cut. Thin piece of plywood, piece of plexiglass, some 1/4 inch thick metal, and some 1/8 inch thick metal. Which blade are we going to choose for each thing? When I'm cutting wood and I want to cut a scroll or a pattern, I want it to be neat, I'll use a medium sized blade. I'll use a 10 tooth per inch blade. The saw cuts on the upstroke. So when you're using a jigsaw, as it cuts on the way up. It doesn't cut on the way down. The bottom side of my cut is going to look better than the top side of my cut. So when I'm cutting along, not bad, relatively fast, a little bit of fur, but the bottom, you'll notice, is flawless. No fur. So you use the jigsaw when you're cutting your material, good side down. So I want to do the same thing. I want to do it in a little bigger hurry. I put on a 6 tooth per inch blade. Kind of nasty looking, but I don't care what it looks like. I want to get the job done. You can see the coarser blade furs up the wood more. Still, even a coarse blade, the bottom side looks nice. Choose the blade that will get the job done as quickly as possible without ruining your project. I'm going to cut a little piece of plexiglass first and show you that when you use too fine of a blade, you get a smooth cut, it goes too slow, and the plexiglass melts behind you. I got a nice cut. However, as I made my turn and the blade heated up the plexiglass, it melted and glued behind me. Too fine a blade or too slow doesn't work so good with plexiglass. Medium blade with 10 teeth per inch. I'll show you how this goes. Same thing. I went too slow in the turn, but I went a little quicker, and I didn't get quite as much meltage, but I still got meltage. Now I whip out the 6 tooth per inch jigsaw blade. Now you gotta be careful, you have to keep the blade near the edge of the countertop when you're cutting the material, but you'll see that this will get the cut down. As long as I don't let the plexiglass chatter, it's gonna give me a little nicer cut without as much meltage going on. Broke. You notice I let the machine stop before I pull out the blade, because when you pull it out, when the blade's running, the blade will come down and hit your work and break it. So there's the coarser blade. Went faster, so it didn't give the plexiglass as much time to melt when you're making the cut. So I'm starting with the fine for cutting some metal. I'm going to cut some 1/8 inch thick metal first and show you how quickly or slowly it goes and what it does for us. So you see how slow that is. A blade this fine is actually designed for cutting sheet metal and really thin aluminum, not so thick of stuff. Too slow. I'll be bored before I get the job done. Out with the 10 tooth per inch blade. 6 teeth per inch. One thing when using a coarse blade to cut anything, it causes more chatter. It will force the jigsaw up in the air as it's on its downstroke. So what you have to do, you have to keep firm pressure holding the saw down. I'm going to let it vibrate a little and you'll see what happens when I'm not holding tight enough, and you'll see how a 6 tooth blade actually get through this metal a little quicker so I can get my job done. So when cutting a 1/4 inch aluminum stock, so you can see how this is chattering. So this would be better if I had this in a vise. Blade choice is more important than the saw. Thickness of the material and what it is that you're going to cut is more important than choosing a saw. When you go shopping, find a clerk that knows what's going on, what you're going to cut, and maybe they can help you choose the proper blades. When you go home and do your job, you get her done fast, easy, quick tips from MrHardware.com.